Well, Luke, you said yes to a coaching session on the UpLevel Podcast. And like I said to you, I'm so grateful for your courage. Before I hear your topic, let's design our alliance a little bit. And I know some of the language I'm going to use, you're going to be familiar with because you've gone through the training. First of all, do I have your permission to coach you?
You absolutely do. Yes, no problem.
Great. And the skill of bottom lining that as coaches we use sometimes to support our clients to really get to the essence, to the heart of the matter. Are you open to me using that skill today in service of you getting to the essence of what you're talking about?
Yes, I am. No problem.
And in the way that you process and whatnot, like, is there things you want me to understand? Or do you tend to be an external processor? Do you need moments of stillness and silence? Like, what would really serve you?
I think in the moment, I'll be able to let you know. And I think through the flow of the session, you might be able to pick that up as well. But I tend to be a thinker. So there might be some external things post our session that I can sort of process, which I'll find as equally as beneficial. So I think the opportunity to sort of take stock afterwards is something which I'll see value in as well.
Beautiful. How about moving around? It may not come up, but if I'm sensing it would serve for you to move a bit, even just, changing your orientation or walking, are you open to that?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. I'm in your expert hands, Christie. So if you feel that would help a session, then yes, very much so.
Beautiful. Anything else that feels important from your end to design?
No, I think what we've discussed and what ultimately we will discuss, I'm really clear and comfortable about. I'm looking forward to the session. I'm looking forward to being as open, transparent, and vulnerable as possible to make it as a meaningful session, not just for yourself, but for myself as well. So I'm looking forward to the opportunity. I really am.
And I want you to walk away with good value in moving this topic forward, like I've said. So what is your topic for today?
So the thought process for me has been about probably more with a slight bias on the personal side. And I'm a father of three, 17, 15, and an 11-year-old as well. And there are some ongoing, as all parents may know, or those individuals that are close to families, there's a constant shift and fluidity in terms of the power dynamics and the need within that. So for me, it is around how do I show up? How do I collaborate within that environment as a parent? And how do I ensure that when there are inevitably some pressurized environments and topics, that I don't lose my integrity? So it's really sharing power in that dynamic without losing the integrity piece.
I already know this about you. You're such a great dad. And the fact that this is the topic you're bringing forward just shows how much you deeply care about being a good steward to these three humans, that you've received the gift to do that. So I'm just honoring, you're such a good dad.
Thanks, Christie. I appreciate that. The most important job in the world. So gotta get it right.
Gotta get it right. And, the world needs great parents in this moment to raise great children. So in relation to this really impeccable topic, what does success look like for us today? What do you want to walk away from this conversation related to this topic?
For me, it is around recognizing that the role that I have, that I'm entrusted with a degree of responsibility, and it is a sacred responsibility. It's not something that I take lightly, but being able to hold what I do lightly, but also ensure that as I mentioned before in the opening sort of like topic, making sure that I don't compromise my own values. So I think one of the effects from which I need to learn over time is that the practice and the modeling of what I do is far more important and prescient than the telling or the directional nature of what we do. But both as a parent or as a work colleague, I think this transcends sort of like all environments as well. So being able to feel confident and ultimately quite vulnerable around me as a person, as a human, as a father, and know that that's fine. That's I'm on the right path. I'd love to walk away from a session having that sort of like here and knowing that, you know, I'm still a work in progress. We're all still a work in progress, but that value set is not compromised.
So I'm going to play around with a few different principles that you've learned. I'm going to start with a little bit of perspectives work. And so in the center of the wheel here is your relationship to fatherhood, parenthood. That's what I'm putting in the center. And if you were to give me a few bars, like a few words on your current state, how do you relate to fatherhood? How do you describe that?
I think my relationship to fatherhood is one around ultimate accountability, empathy, and one of the values which I hold dear, which I try to show up in everyday life, including sort of like fatherhood, is around authenticity. Being able to adopt a non-performative approach to a very unique set of circumstances which occur every day. So those are certainly several things which I anchor on very sort of like clearly.
And so these are values of yours: accountability, empathy, authenticity, which is part being non-performative. And if you were to give that like a title, what would you call that bucket of values?
I would call it's hard to give it one overarching sort of like bucket on something like that, because they're so individually resonant for me.
Yeah.
To then sort of like cluster them together sort of like makes it harder. I think, I think where we were going with regards to the fatherhood and that sort of like North Star, that's the thing that sort of like shines brightly.
Mm-hmm.
So if it was sort of like North Star around sort of like fatherhood or parent, that's probably where I'd be leaning to.
Those are the values that are being honored consistently and well, and you'd call it the North Star of fatherhood.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how's it going? The North Star of fatherhood. How's that going in this moment in time?
Yeah, it sounds really grandiose, doesn't it? Like it's this big sort of like ongoing project. And in many respects, it is. I think I'm a work in progress. I think one of the aspects which was instilled in me from my own parents was a level of humility and self-awareness.
Mm-hmm.
So I would like to think that being able to see this as an ongoing growth journey and not a definitive endpoint is something that I take into this all of the time.
Yeah.
So in answer to your question, it's going all right. It's going all right today, but who knows what it's like tomorrow.
Yeah.
But it's something which I fundamentally take seriously, not in a furrowed brow point of view, but take seriously because I know how important being able to show up for those three people is. So, yeah.
And so
far, so good.
Yeah, and that's my sense too. Like this bucket of incredible, beautiful values. It's like it's happening. And so let's build out Luke's book of values. How do you define, what's your definition, like in a sentence, what's your definition of accountability as it relates to fatherhood?
Accountability is ensuring that there is a level of comfort and presence and decision making that individuals will be reliant on me for. But as I think we've touched on before, not in a directorial way. So ensuring that, what I do, whether it's how I communicate, different conflict sort of lifestyles as well, and ensuring that it's less around hierarchy and much more around collaboration. So I think from accountability, I feel that every conversation I have seeds that family dynamic or seeds that culture, if it's from a business point of view. And I'm responsible for what grows. But I don't, if we use an analogy like a garden, I'm not the one that shines the light like a sun. I'm not the one that sort of like brings the rain clouds over or has a watering can. I'm not the one that fertilizes the soil. I think I create an environment where a lot of those dynamics, I'm ensuring that people have a viewpoint themselves as well. And I think that's the true essence of accountability. That what am I modeling as opposed to what am I telling?
And what do you notice is happening inside of you as you define and explore this value that's important to you? What's happening?
I felt the more I was talking about it just then, and this is why it's a value and why it's so dear to me as well, because I could feel it right in the core of me, even when I was talking about it then. So for you to pick that up was absolutely spot on, because I think being able to help shape is a real sort of like privilege for me, and recognizing that it's not just about me, that it's about sort of like the others as well, really speaks sort of like very deeply to the individual that I am.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can see it. It touches you deeply to explore this value, but also to probably reflect like in how you're honoring it in your day to day with your 17-year-old, 15-year-old, and 13-year-old. So what about authenticity? How is it defined in Luke's values dictionary in relation to fatherhood? Authenticity. What does that look like?
I think you can bracket authenticity and vulnerable, or they're almost like two lanes of a swimming pool going in the same direction. So authenticity is a recognition for me personally that I don't have all of the answers, but I do create an environment where there is a deep sense of honesty and being able to be visible about that. So that's not something that you hold to yourself. Authenticity should be, again, we've touched on, how do you model? How do you show as opposed to how do you tell? So authenticity for me is being in touch with that side of you and making sure that those individuals around you see that, model that, but also gain confidence that, when they go out into the world or when they're in a certain environment as well, that's actually a superpower. That having that level of transparency and authenticity is something which, quite honestly, and on a personal level, I don't see as many people in the world having. And I wish more people would, but I can only operate in my own sphere of influence as well.
Yeah.
So I think that's a fundamental aspect for me around authenticity.
And what's important to you about modeling this value for your kids?
Yes.
What does it mean when you model this value of authenticity for your kids? Like ... What happens when Luke models his value of authenticity and vulnerability?
It shows that you don't have to have all of the answers and the right answers in that moment, at that time, with the information that you have. So for me, you should feel comfortable and admit when you're feeling overwhelmed or uncertain. Being able to have that emotional awareness is so important. Because not everybody, as we know, says the right thing in the right moment, especially if there is more emotion, if it's supercharged with something. Maybe you're a little bit tired, maybe you're not sort of like feeling 100% as well. So if the stakes have been raised, being able to say, actually, I'm just going to take a beat here, and can we come back to this? And I think that becomes, that's the human side, not the performative side. And I'd be the first to admit that's something which I'm actively working on, but I'm trying to be more intentional around exploring that side of authenticity and vulnerability for sure.
And what are you getting in touch with as you explore authenticity? Like you use the word emotion. What emotion are you tuning into in your internal system?
Being able to regulate my emotions, I think, is really important. So having the awareness that we've touched on is super fundamental. But I think recognizing that, being able to pace yourself through, and also sometimes just dropping the mask, is that you don't have to show up with this stoicism, with this I've got all of the answers. It's definitely something which, again, I'm a work in progress as well. But I think owning mistakes and owning that side around authenticity and uncertainty is certainly something which I'm becoming more in touch with, for sure.
Well, and it's just interesting because the question I asked is, what emotion are you in touch with as you explain this? And you explain the value even deeper. But I noticed like there was some joy. Like I noticed you smiled large and like there was this energy of moving forward. So are you able to drop into an emotion that's present right now? What's here?
The first thing that comes to mind straight away is gratitude.
Ah, okay. And where are you noticing that inside you? Where is that?
Oh, it's definitely heartfelt.
Okay.
It's definitely here.
Okay. And Luke, before you,
But for everything that we, sorry.
Yeah, no, it's great. So here's where I'm headed is I want to invite you to drop deeper into that gratitude in this moment. So if it would support you to touch your heart or just breathe into it, will you do that in service of really feeling this gratitude that's here? Will you do that?
Absolutely.
Okay, and I'm going to do it with you.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do it with you. Taking a moment, just dropping in. If it would serve you to close your eyes, you don't need to, but anything that helps you breathe into that emotion of gratitude. And just notice, what is it like to pause for a moment and sit with this experience of gratitude? When you're ready, coming back here to this moment, just want you to get a few words to describe what it was like to sit in gratitude.
It felt, and I used the first word that comes to mind, it felt quite deep and it felt quite heavy, but not heavy in a, I had the weight of the world on my shoulders. It felt heavy because, and deep, because I think at the core of me and the core of how I sort of like show up, gratitude is something which I think of on a daily basis, both in an intentional way, but almost from a subconscious way. So the opportunity to stop, pause, breathe, just allow that to come out sort of like very quickly, but from, and perhaps just writing it in a gratitude journal, something like that. So no, it felt there was a lot of sort of like emotion attached to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
I have a request for you. And they're like yes, no, counter offer type stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. The request is, will you gift yourself 5 minutes every day to sit in stillness and just be with whatever is there, whatever emotion? Will you do that?
Yes. Yes, I will.
And how will this serve you in honoring your values of fatherhood?
This will allow me to, amongst everything else that's going on and all the micro and macro decisions which you need to make, it will allow me just a quiet period of time to go back to that North Star of fatherhood that we spoke about. Absolutely. It will allow me to get out my own personal highlighter pen and just sort of like, and I mentioned before, like sort of like put a line through what is important for me and give me a guide and a steer and some quiet time and a recognition that I won't have all of the answers. There will be times when, as we all find, there will be more sort of like challenging times, but on balance, at least the directional path is headed with the right signposting.
So it sounds like
So I absolutely see the value. Yeah.
Yeah, like it's really important to make sure you give yourself that. Sounds like it can be very, very fruitful 5 minutes from what you just shared. How
No, it's a great suggestion.
and how will you hold yourself accountable to that? There's many ways to design the accountability. What would have you commit to this as a practice, so that you have that time?
I will tie it to a habit. So if my habit is to press go on the coffee machine,
Yeah.
like it is to sort of like clean your teeth or anything that you do on a daily basis, I will tie that to having a coffee, taking the coffee upstairs, and ensuring that the next thing I do will be taking that 5 minutes for myself on a daily basis.
Beautiful. Okay. Do you have a leader within name? Is that some work you've done at one point? Like a part of you that's like an inner guide? Do you have a name for that part of yourself?
No, not straight away.
Okay. That will be another coaching conversation where we can do that. So,
Okay.
will you connect to the part of you, and maybe it's just present day Luke, that really holds accountability, empathy, and authenticity in an impeccable way? Just connect to that part of you in this moment. And then once you find that place, just take a beat, take a breath, and then tell me when you're there.
Yes.
From this place.
I'm there.
Okay, you've got it. What's it like? How do you know you're there? Tell me what's happening inside. What's happening inside?
There was an immediate jolt of confidence.
Mm-hmm.
I felt that it kind of sort of like layered very quickly around, this is what's important. This is how you show up. So I felt that all over, to be honest with you.
And what I noticed is it's like you were searching for it on the inside of yourself, and then your spine got really straight. So this part of you, let's call it, it's like your fortified self, your higher self, your most authentic self. And so it's in you all the time, clearly. And look how fast you were able to access it. So in this moment, I would love for you to ask that part of you. Actually, I'm throwing that out. I would like to have you have that part of you acknowledge Luke. Acknowledge who you're being, the way you're showing up as a father during these times. Have that part of you speak to current Luke in this moment.
Where you're at, Luke, how you show up, where you're guiding light around sometimes uncertainty, but what you look to model will be fundamental to those around you and those most important sort of like humans. Feel comfortable that you should lead with the accountability, the authenticity, and the empathy that you should hold lightly. Don't clench it. Don't treat it as a goal, but look to live it and be grateful every single day. And if you continue to do that and recognize that that vulnerability is a superpower, not a weakness, I'm confident you'll be on the right path.
What's it like to
How was that?
Well, let me ask you, how was that for you to hear this part of you share this reflection? What was that like for you?
It's funny. When you ask the question and you suddenly adopt this sort of schizophrenic view of talking to yourself, you're not sure. But as soon as I started talking, and because it is so innate and because it is so fundamental to me as well, it just felt very natural.
Mm-hmm.
It felt that, that having that conversation was very open and fluid. And I could imagine myself in that proverbial sort of like mirror, just nodding, saying, yep, absolutely. So yeah, it felt far more natural than I thought it would do when you set it up that way, for sure.
Yeah. Thank you for being willing to try that. And just what I'll offer you in those 5-minute morning sits with yourself. When it feels like it would serve you to tap into this part of you that's always here, Luke. that part of you that is really rooting for you, sees you, knows how hard you're working on all the levels, and knows that you are really a steward and a model of authenticity, of accountability, and of empathy. And we need more fathers like you on this planet. So I'm just acknowledging you and the good work that you're doing on yourself so that you can show up for these people in your world.
Thank you, Christie. No, I really appreciate that. The way that you have framed that is incredibly powerful, and I'll be taking every aspect of that moving forward. And then having that quiet time at the start of the day with the strong coffee, and then having that reminder and that self-check-in will be incredibly powerful.
I'm self-managing a whole bunch of I want try this, do this creative thing with this part of yourself, and so this is me going behind the curtain as there's you are such a creative, powerful being, and I have no doubt that what you're navigating and the way you are choosing to show up and then tend to yourself so that you can keep showing up that way. That's what this is all about. That, like you said at the beginning of our conversation, most important job you'll ever have, and you're doing it. You're modeling it. So, mwah.
Yeah,
It's big love to you, Luke.
No, I appreciate that. It's something which I love doing, with all the sort of the tears and the laughter and everything that comes with it. It does become ultimately what I feel I was, on this planet to do, and do as best as you possibly can amongst everything else that we do as well. As you touched on, and as we referenced right at the start, there is no more important job than this. So if we can, to use your term, sort of help steward that and create those human beings. And when I'm not around, and that's not I pass on, I'm talking about is, look, when I'm not in the vicinity,
yeah,
what are the things that they take forward,
yeah,
that we've seeded or instilled in them? So all of that becomes critical. For sure.
This is leadership at its most important state. So, yeah, onward.
Absolutely.